So, Dan,
Hello,
welcome
Holly.
to Audible. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
On this difficult day of travel.
Yes, I know, the old tube strike. But
Yeah.
if you're not in London, you don't care. But it's hard to get around. That's all we need to say.
So your new book is called Standing on the Shoulders.
Yeah.
And you tell the stories of lots of people who are inspirational or who might be classed as heroes. So I wondered how many of those people are reluctant at the idea of being heroes or of being seen as an inspiration.
That's a very good opening question. I don't think it's a reluctance. I think one of the things that brings them all together and unites them is that they don't see themselves that way. I had a book launch a few weeks ago, and I got the vast majority of the 48 people who feature in the book in one room together. And it was lovely because I got to introduce them all to each other. And then two of the people in the book went up to each other afterwards, and one of them was Donna, who's Rose Ayling-Ellis' mum, and the other one was Darren Frost. And Darren was one of those people who stopped the terrorist Usman Khan at the Fishmongers Hall attack that spilled out onto London Bridge a few years ago. And Donna went up to Darren, having just heard about his story, and said, "I was just reading your chapter yesterday. I think you're amazing." And he said, No, you're Rose's mum from Strictly. I read your chapter last week and I think you're incredible. And I think that's it. They're all like that. They don't see how they are inspiring other people, but they can see it in others. And I think that's part of it. They're very humble, and they just see it as getting on with their normal life and doing what anybody in their situation would do. But in actual fact, they are pretty special, all of them.
And so many of the stories in the book come from a place of disability or illness or death. Why do you think that...
There is some nice stuff in there, by
There
the
is
way.
some nice stuff. Oh, there's joyous stuff in there. But why do you think it's like feats of amazingness can come from those places?
I think that's a strength of the human spirit. I think that's what it comes down to. And I don't know where some of the people in there find the strength, but through a process of like literary osmosis, I find strength from them. Do you know what I mean? I hope you have in reading and listening to the book as well. It's not a case of, oh, these people are great, I'm rubbish. It's more a case of, these people are so inspirational. I wish I could be a bit more like them.
Yeah. And one story you tell in the book is about Rose on Strictly. So what was it about what she did on Strictly that you found so amazing?
I think, well, the whole book is called, you mentioned it's called Standing on the Shoulders, and the whole point of that is it's about people who lift us up to help us to see a bit further than we can on our own. And the Rose chapter was quite obvious to me quite early on, because I met Rose and I thought she was amazing. And then I met her mum the first week and I thought, well, she's clearly incredible. And then I just watched their relationship develop, and I saw how Rose just saw no barriers where other people saw them, and how she changed the world around her and actually changed Saturday night TV forever. She'd never watched Strictly before live because she couldn't do it because there were no subtitles or they weren't up to date. And everyone on the programme has deaf awareness training now, and subtitles are up to date. I love the fact that while many people see Rose as the poor little deaf girl in her mum's words, she's not. And Rose's determination was, I don't want people to feel sorry for me, because actually I love being deaf and my world is amazing. I want you to see that I'm having a party and it's loud even though I can't hear it. And I just think she might be deaf, but she fine-tuned all our senses over the course of that programme. And it was a privilege for me to watch it at close quarters.
And I wondered as well, watching Rose, how that experience made you feel, given that you grew up with a dad who was deaf, and if that kind of, I don't know, made you even more engaged.
I think that's a really good question. I think it did make me more aware, because my dad's completely deaf in one ear and he's virtually deaf in the other ear. He's got a cochlear implant. So he can't hear a lot of what goes on in life. And he's been that way for the vast majority of the time I can remember. And he used to have a hearing aid and he'd just turn it down in a busy room because it was just too much noise, too much background noise. Like even a washing machine in the same room will set him off. And he just can't operate because he can't hear. So I'd seen how frustrating that was to not be able to hear. And that just made me more amazed by Rose, because I think I said to her week one, I said, listen, you're pretty special. Don't tell anyone, but I'm just going to vote for you every week, so I think you're really good. And I did. I voted for Rose every week. I've had loads of friends who've done Strictly, and then going on it myself, I realised how hard it is to if you're not a dancer and you've never been trained to be a dancer, it's difficult. I loved it. I loved the work and the learning and the training, but it's hard and it requires an awful lot of mental and physical ability. And I can hear the music. So, and I love music and I respond to the music and I'm listening for the accents and where the beat changes and where the volume goes up. And I'm responding to all of that as I'm learning to dance. Rose doesn't do any of that because she can't hear it. It's just like a really dull sound to her. There's no moderation in it. There's no change in it whatsoever. So she embodies a character every week. And that's how she did it. Giovanni says in the book that she came alive, I think, in Movie Week, where she basically, Rose from Normal World became Rose from Titanic. She watched the film, she read the transcript, she read the script, and she became that person. And being a brilliant actress, she was able to do that. So that's how she found the character every week, through either reading the subtitles, listening to it on Spotify and listening to the subtitles, reading the story behind the song, and then finding the character in the song. And for me, that's different level, because it's hard enough to dance when you can hear the music, but when you can't hear anything, I just think she's from a different planet.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my eyes were open to all sorts of things, so Strictly.
Including shants?
Shants.
What are shants?
Shants, you need to learn about. Everyone needs to know about shants. I'm not wearing any now, but shants are pants that are sewn into shirt, or shirt that's sewn into pants. So it sounds weird. It stops your shirt from riding up when you're dancing. So when you go up there, it doesn't go because it's strapped down essentially. But you have to climb into them. So once you're in, you're in. And
no last minute toilet breaks.
There's no. It's going to the toilet last minute on Strictly is an unbelievable operation, because not only are you sewn into your shirt, you're then sewn into everything else, so nothing moves and everything looks perfect. But you can't go anywhere. If you need a last minute emergency dump, not that I had one, you've got no chance. Unless you cut a hole up, you know what I mean? I'm taking you to places. But shants are the future.
Or not if you need the toilet quickly.
No, not in the case of emergency toilet needs.
And I wondered as well, do you think that your focus and interest in telling the stories of other people rather than your own is unusual in today's world?
I don't know. I never thought about it. I find myself incredibly dull, if that helps. I mean, I don't know. That's like a deep and meaningful question, but I don't think I'm interesting, okay? And that's not a woe is me type thing. I'm not fishing for compliments in any way, shape or form. It's just fame does not interest me in the slightest. I'm not interested. I explain it in the Fs. I'm not interested in fame, froth and fortune. Okay, they don't interest me. I know they come along with a job sometimes, and I'm very privileged to do the job that I do and speak to some of the people that I do and have some lovely friends and go to some amazing places and travel all around the world covering these amazing events and speaking to people. But I just love doing the job. The job is what excites me. I'm a journalist, I'm a storyteller, and I love getting the best out of other people. I would much rather tell other people's stories than my own. That's what excites me. I've got a lovely job and I really enjoy it, but all the fluff that goes with it doesn't really interest me, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've gone very deep and meaningful with it.
I do think it's unusual, but I think it's lovely.
Do you really think? I don't know.
Maybe social media gives the illusion that it's unusual, and there are actually lots of those people out there, but we don't see them because they're too busy caring about other people. Yeah,
well, that's probably a lesson to us all, to remember that social media is not real life, and it's a strange little place which has got lots of positives. But somebody once said, which I still use this, it's a powerful tool that gives power to tools. I think which is a good way of looking at it. Lots of positives, but it's also quite deadly and horrible on occasions.
Yeah. Well, people don't have to scroll through social media. They can listen to your book.
Yeah.
Then give it a read. Dan, thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a real pleasure.